Good evening. This is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Vanessa Victor. Let's start things off with the national news. 2 people died on the spot and 3 others were injured after a commuter bus with routes between Mbeya and Sumbawanga crashed into 3 vehicles along the Tanzania-Zambia road at Mbalizi area on the outskirts of Mbeya city. The accident occurred after the bus encountered brake failure.
Kuna basi namba timu ya 601 DXC, hii ni Fuso bus ilipokuwa linaelekea.
A Fuso bus with registration number T601 DHC at the Kiwami Hill hit a Toyota Rome T452 DHD, causing the deaths of 2 people, both girls, who have not been identified yet, and injured 3 people in the car, 1 male and 2 female, who are in our referral hospital undergoing treatment. I saw that the bus was coming from behind, and it had its lights on. So I moved to the side. It slightly hit me as I was in my motorcycle, and I fell to the side. It then went and hit the Rome in front of me, which then hit another vehicle containing a container. The bus avoided the first vehicle, then hit the second vehicle, a Rome. This happened when the driver was trying to overtake other vehicles.
A team of divers from the rescue forces has found more parts of the Precision airplane that crashed into Lake Victoria on Sunday morning, causing the deaths of 19 people. The parts found after the plane was salvaged on Tuesday include tires and the seats of the pilot and co-pilot.
Kwa kweli kazi ambayo mmefanya mmeonyesha Tanzania wetu, mmeonyesha umoja wetu.
The job you have done has shown your patriotism, unity. This is exactly how we are supposed to be when such incidents happen suddenly and during emergencies. This is the first time when we have to support each other to help in rescue.
Uwanja wa ndege wa Bukoba umekwisha funguliwa rasmi.
Bukoba Airport has already officially been opened, and today from 6 a.m. the 9th of November 2022, flights have resumed.
Milimita kama 5 hivi ziliachia kwa niliona nje Kamwanga. Sasa kujua nini kilichoniingia.
About 5 millimeters detached, so I saw a light outside. I did not know how I got the confidence and morale to open the door by force and jump into the water with some others. There were some that did not have the confidence and were very shocked, so they stayed there. I am very grateful I am alive.
Mimi niko hai.
And the Director General of Tanzania's Civil Aviation Authority, TCAA, Hamza Johari, has said preliminary investigations of the Precision airplane crash that occurred on the 6th of November this year in Bukoba, Kagera region will be released within 14 days. He also assured Tanzanians on the safety of Bukoba Airport.
Sasa kama mkurugenzi mkuu mamlaka ya usafiri wa anga nina jukumu la kuliweka hili sawa.
As the director of the country's Civil Aviation Authority, I have the responsibility to clear this up. Otherwise, we will deceive the public and people will fear going to Bukoba, which will cause the region to not have connectivity. Bukoba Airport is one of the oldest airports in Tanzania that was built in 1940, before I was even born. These airports are built after study, analysis, and research by experts.
Study, analysis na mazingira mbalimbali yanayofanywa na wataalamu.
The government in Kiteto District, Manyara region, has said that it will ensure health personnel are sent to Sunya Health Centre in order to ensure health services are not disrupted following the death of 6 employees from the centre who died in a road accident on Tuesday at Pori Kwapori village. This was said during the last respects for the employees held at the sports ground in Kibai.
Naomba niwahakikishie wananchi wana Kiteto wenzangu hususan tarafa ya Sunya, tutajitahidi kadri inavyowezekana kuziba pengo hili na kuhakikisha kwamba huduma katika kituo chetu cha afya ya Sunya hazitetereki.
Lakini vile vile pole kwa ndugu zetu kutoka Kilindi, kama tulivyomsikia mwenyekiti wa halmashauri anasema karibu wote anawafahamu kwa sababu wamekuwa wakifanya kazi pamoja.
Illegal miners have invaded and caused massive destruction on water sources in Amani Natural Forest Reserve, a situation that has caused 3 districts in Tanga region to face water problems.
Mahali hapa tunaposimama ni chanzo cha maji.
Where we stand is a water source that sustains Tanga, Muheza up to Pangani. There's been destruction here caused by the mining of gold. The neighboring community has been coming here in search of gold minerals, causing significant destruction, including reducing the water levels and quality of water in rivers.
Wale walio wengi wananufaika na haya, kwa hatutokubali wale wachache kuchezea.
Many benefit from this water, so we will not accept the few to play with water sources. Let me be clear and issue a warning. Whomever is caught will be dealt with by legal organs. I also call on citizens who are close by to notify us when they see or hear of such incidents taking place, as it is not beneficial to them in any way.
Pike sasa hapo tunapotakiwa kufika ili tulinde afya zetu.
So that we get to the point that we need to protect our health, we must ensure that even if it is your son causing this problem, report them. Let us, government officials, deal with them.
Tuhangaike nao.
And members of parliament have advised the government when debating the proposed National Development Plan and guidelines of the proposed 2023-2024 budget to look for new ways of implementing development projects, including through cooperation and joint ventures with the private sector, instead of depending on loans, which have contributed to the national debt to increase to 71.56 trillion shillings.
Ni vema sasa tukafocus na tukapigia jicho zaidi kwenye miradi ya kimaendeleo.
It is best if we now focus on development and strategic projects with the aim of ensuring these projects give us quick returns on the 71.59 trillion shilling loan.
Sasa nafikiri ni wakati sahihi sasa serikali ikafanya haraka kuirekebisha sheria ya PPP ili tuweze kutekeleza miradi bila kuongeza deni la taifa. Kwenye PPP mbia anajenga alafu anaoperate kwa faida, baadaye anaturudishia serikalini
kwenye yale maeneo ambayo yako na mzozo.
In areas with conflict, that is the villages being mentioned, it's an area that the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Lands and the government in the relevant district are continuing to work on to find a solution that will allow for production.
And President Samia Suluhu Hassan has met President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi of Egypt today in Sharm el-Sheikh on the sidelines of COP27, whereby the leaders agreed to strategically strengthen ties between the two countries, including trade and investment. The leaders agreed to strategically deepen the close ties between Tanzania and Egypt, including in trade and investment. They also discussed ongoing construction of the Julius Nyerere hydropower plant being built by Egyptian contractors and expressed satisfaction with the progress of the project, which is 77% complete. President Samia Suluhu Hassan informed her Egyptian counterpart that Tanzania was making preparations to fill the reservoir of the giant dam with water. On his part, President El-Sisi promised to send a strong delegation to Tanzania to witness this milestone. During the talks, President Samia was accompanied by the Minister for Energy, January Makamba, the Minister for Foreign Affairs of East African Cooperation, Dr. Stegomena Tax, and Tanzania's High Commissioner to Egypt, Ambassador Dr. Emmanuel Nchimbi. Vice President Dr. Philip Mpango has said that deliberate measures need to be taken to address increased environment destruction in order to prevent the country from being affected further with effects of climate change. He made the statement during a tour of the water production plant at Lower Ruvu River in Coast Region.
The charcoal business is eating us up. The trees are finished. On the road, you can see trees, but if you take 10 steps inwards, there are no trees. The effects of this are significant, one of them being the drop in water levels. The water we drink and also use for various production activities and livestock.
Kwa Mheshimiwa Makamu wa Rais tumesema tufanye nini? Kwanza tunafahamu sasa tunataka nishati safi.
We now know that we want clean energy, but first we must stop and prevent the harvesting of forest crops, charcoal in non-reserve areas.
Kupitia ukame huu na kipindi hiki cha kiangazi tumeathirika.
Due to the current drought, we have been affected. Our upper and lower river plants, which just about 1 week ago could produce 300 million litres, are now producing 280 million litres. As the days pass, the number continues to go down. Mr. Vice President, despite the current drought we face, we cannot stop providing water services to citizens. First, we have spoken to DAWASA, and they must agree to work with other water providers.
Kwa DAWASA, lazima wakubali kufanya kazi kwa ushirikiano na wadau wengine wa utoa huduma.
That is the end of national news. International news is next. In international news, attention on Wednesday turned to Arizona, Georgia and Nevada in the U.S. midterm elections, with control of the Senate to be determined by a handful of key races. Republicans are still favored to win control of the House of Representatives, but victory is not assured amid a poorer showing than expected. Only one Senate seat has so far flipped, with Democrat John Fetterman winning the race to replace Republican Pat Toomey in Pennsylvania. And citizens in Kabasha, Beni district in the Democratic Republic of Congo have expressed concern on the security situation after rebels alleged to be from the ADF group attacked the town located 25 kilometers from Beni.
Kuna majambazi adui aliweza kujipenyeza ndani ya mji huu, akaunguza kituo cha afya na kubeba watu, akaunguza via gari na nyumba gisi vile umeweza kuona. Kuna watu ambao walibebwa na tumeona maiti ya mtu mmoja ambaye ameweza kufariki. Na wengine wamebebwa, hatujui wameenda nao nafasi gani. Hiyo ni centre hospitalier Kabasha ambayo iliweza kuunguzwa, na pale ndipo wagonjwa wameweza kuchukuliwa, hata na dokta wetu mmoja Dr. Jano ameweza kubebwa na wale maadui.
And President William Ruto of Kenya and his South African counterpart Cyril Ramaphosa on Wednesday witnessed the signing of 3 memoranda of understanding and a cooperation agreement to augment bilateral relations between Nairobi and Pretoria. The deal, which will see Kenya and South Africa cooperate in correctional services, housing and audiovisual co-production. The 2 leaders also agreed to hold further talks on restrictions on meat imports as well as visa requirements.
Kenya and South Africa have had good relations since South Africa defeated apartheid in 1994. The ties between our 2 nations continue to grow in all aspects of development and especially in trade. And the 2 countries have ratified the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, emphasizing our shared commitment to the promotion of intra-Africa trade. Today, Your Excellency, you and I are delighted to have presided over the signing of 4 instruments of cooperation that will play a definitive role in the Kenya-South Africa relations. They are 3 memoranda of understanding and 1 agreement on cooperation in the fields of correctional services, cooperation in the fields of housing and human settlement, cooperation between Kenya School of Government and the National School of Governments from South Africa, and the agreement on audiovisual co-production.
This visit has once again reaffirmed that our bilateral relations are based on a sound foundation of mutual respect, shared values, and friendship, and are also based on our democratic values. These principles will undoubtedly continue to serve us well into the future, especially in times of global uncertainty. We used our discussion, both our tete-a-tete and our official talks in the presence of our respective delegations, to take stock of the current state of our bilateral relations, while also exploring other areas of mutual interest and possible cooperation. And we recognize that the wonderful foundation that exists between our 2 countries gives rise to enormous opportunities that our 2 countries should capitalize on. We also witnessed the signing of agreements and memoranda of understanding, as you correctly said, and this builds on the other agreements that we had signed in the past. We are committed to ensure that the agreements and the memoranda of understanding that we have signed now and in the past will be implemented fully.
With COP27 underway, there is renewed focus on how Germany is in danger of not meeting its own climate goals, according to a report by the country's Climate Expert Council. For more on this, let us join our Deutsche Welle correspondent, Thomas Sparrow. So, Thomas, what is at stake at the COP27 and what's Germany's position there?
There seems to be growing understanding that the effects of climate change have to be dealt with through international cooperation. This has to do with the fact that basically every country in the world is feeling the effects of climate change, although poorer developing countries are often affected in a more dramatic way. The big question is how that cooperation would work. Does it mean common projects to protect particularly sensitive regions like the Amazon? Does it mean so-called climate clubs, as German Chancellor Scholz proposed, to bring together countries fully committed to implementing climate targets? Or does it mean funding or compensation by richer industrialized countries responsible for a large part of emissions in order to help poorer nations facing climate change-fueled disasters. Several countries, including Germany, have pledged funding to help developing nations.
It seems Germany is having trouble with its own national climate targets. How come?
The third committee convened by the German government warned ahead of COP27 that the country was in serious danger of not meeting its climate goals for 2030. Berlin had promised to considerably reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 2030. Germany also vowed to completely exit coal by that year. But the country recently stepped up production as a result of Russia's war in Ukraine and Berlin's decision to reduce its dependence on Russian energy. These committee findings are important, especially because the German government has identified this current decade as the one laying the foundations for a CO2-neutral economy. Germany wants to be one of the first climate-neutral industrial countries by 2045.
And is climate protection a priority among citizens in Germany?
Now, it seems evident that Germans have recently been more concerned about the energy crisis and the overall economic situation. But climate protection does play a big role in the country, especially among younger generations, and also for the government. It's important to highlight that the Green Environmentalist Party is part of the country's governing coalition. Climate activists have also been grabbing the headlines recently in a very controversial way by blocking dozens of highways and defacing artwork. These protests aren't unique to Germany, but they are heating up debate here in the country over how far people can go to fight for their future and whether these specific acts of protest should be penalized.
Thank you very much, Thomas, for the update. And that is all for the international news. Business News is next. In business news, the Minister of Natural Resources and Tourism, Ambassador Dr. Pindi Chana, has opened the 5-day international tourism exhibition, Karibu Kusini, at Kihesa Kilolo grounds in Iringa, with a call to Tanzanians to participate fully in conservation of the environment and wild animals.
Has come for us to remind each other that livestock are not to be taken to water sources, forests and conservation areas. There is to be no unnecessary cutting of trees and forests. When we speak of tourism, we must speak of strategic plans to protect these conservation and forest areas. When livestock are entered into forest reserves, the only person who benefits is the owner of the livestock.
Shukuru sana uratibu na wawakilishi kutoka wizara yako ya maliasili na utalii.
We thank the coordination and representation from your Ministry of Tourism and Natural Resources, as they have at all times guided us to ensure we meet the goals of these exhibitions.
Kwa niaba ya viongozi wenzangu wa mkoa wa Iringa na wananchi wote, kuwakaribisheni hapa Iringa.
The President and Chairman of the Revolutionary Council, Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, has met and held talks with the Ambassador of Japan in Tanzania on how Japan can support Zanzibar in modernizing infrastructure in order to develop the blue economy.
Kuonana na Mheshimiwa Rais kutokana shughuli yako nyingi. Ninajaribu jifunza Kiswahili, lakini ni kigumu sana. Tafadhali ni ruhusu kuongea kwa Japani au Kiingereza.
And that is all for the business news. Sports next. Now in sports. Boxer Karim Mandonga has led other boxers in the health checkup exercise that was held prior to the Dar es Salaam Boxing Derby that is expected to be held on November 20th at the Kidesi grounds.
Kwa hiyo tunawakaribisha Watanzania wengi waje kutoa sapoti kwenye mchezo wa boxing. Tarehe 20 katika ukumbi wa Kines kutakuwa na mambo ya hatari. Yaani ile ngumi tunataka ndio ige. Tushaitamka, tunasema ngumi ndio ige. Kabla hajapigwa Morogoro, tunataka tuishuhudie hapo Kines.
Rules au sheria za ngumi zinasema kabla ya bondia kupigana wiki 2 kabla inabidi acheki afya yake. Na katika hii afya tunapima, tunapima kuangalia homa ya ini, kupima HIV, syphilis na kipimo cha sukari kwa bondia wetu.
Na hata kesho aje. Leo hapa naona anakimbia mpaka saizi hayupo na corona sijui. Nataka nimuumize kweli mtoto ujue. Mimi ubingwa na utaka uje nyumbani. Asiwezi nikampangia kwa sababu nataka nimpige mpaka ache mwenyewe.
And Yanga has also won their match against Club African, and seems like things are going well there. In our next story, the first phase of the training for the physical education teachers has been completed, with the National Sports Council urging teachers to put into practice what they have learned.
Moja, kuendeleza vipaji, kwanza kuwamotisha watoto, maana huwezi kuendeleza kama huwapati. Kwa hiyo mna kazi kubwa sana ya kuhakikisha kabisa kwamba mnapata vijana wanakuja kufanya training. Lakini baadaye kuweza kutambua, kuweza kusema yule ana kipaji, halafu ukamtia hamasa akaendelea.
Tumejifunza mambo mengi sana, lakini pia tumejifunza michezo mitatu ambayo ni soka kwa maana mpira wa miguu, athletics, riadha pamoja na mchezo wa netball.
Nimejifundisha netball, football and athletics. Kwa hiyo nilivyokuja na sasa hivi ni vitu viwili tofauti, kwa maana nimejifunza vitu ambavyo ni vipi ambavyo nilikuwa sivijui before hapo.
And preparations are ongoing for the Dar es Salaam Athletics competition that is expected to be held on the 19th of this month at the Benjamin Mkapa Stadium in Dar es Salaam.
Mchezo wa mita 100, 200, 400 kwa maana relay, lakini tuko na mita 800, 1500 na 3000 pamoja na 5000. Pia tunategemea kuwa na zawadi kwa washindi ambao watakuwa mshindi wa kwanza mpaka mshindi wa 3 ambao ni zawadi ya fedha. Vilabu binafsi pamoja na mashule tayari tumeshaandika barua kwenda kwa mkurugenzi pamoja na shule mbalimbali washataarifiwa kwa njia ya barua.
And that sports item ends our news bulletin. You can now watch Capital Television on Zuku and channel 067. On behalf of everyone who worked to bring you this bulletin, my name is Vanessa Victor. Thank you for watching and good night.